All right, welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving straight into the digital foundation of your brand. You gotta ask yourself, are systemic website issues silently draining your business right now without you even realizing it? Well, today we're breaking down the hidden problems holding your site back, and we'll look at how specialized Elementor web design agencies, teams like Viral Chili, can literally transform your site from a leaky bucket into your absolute strongest asset. So is your website secretly costing you customers? Honestly, it's an incredibly frustrating thought. You pour countless hours and resources into building your brand, driving traffic, running campaigns, all of it. But if the final destination is flawed, you're basically just pouring water into that leaky bucket I mentioned.
Okay, let's dive into this a bit more. Think about it this way. Your website's really only got one job, right? Bring in customers and build your brand. If it's doing the exact opposite, it's not just a minor inconvenience. It's a massive, hidden liability. These kinds of compounding problems get really expensive to ignore over time, but they're entirely solvable once we actually pinpoint them.
All right, let's move into Section 1, the silent business killers. We're going to look at 5 costly website problems.
First up, 53%. That is the staggering number of users who will completely abandon a page if it takes more than just 3 seconds to load. 3 seconds? Imagine walking up to a physical store and you have to just stand there waiting at the door for it to unlock. You'd leave, right? Slow page speed is actively killing your search rankings because it's telling Google that your visitors are leaving totally unsatisfied. Which brings us to our second villain, zero conversions. Look, a beautiful website that doesn't actually convert is really just expensive decoration. You can have the absolute most stunning graphics in the world, but if your messaging is unclear, or the navigation is confusing, or the elements are just overwhelming, your visitors won't take action. The site is failing. And that leads right into the third villain, a broken mobile experience. Your desktop site might be flawless, sure, but if your mobile site is a mess, you are practically invisible to the vast majority of the internet. We've all felt the physical frustration of trying to click a tiny, unscaled button on our phones, right? Simply shrinking a desktop site down to fit a smaller screen just doesn't work anymore.
Okay, our fourth villain is actually hidden deep down in the code. Get this, 52% of mobile websites actually fail Google's Core Web Vital Standards. That means the majority of the web is failing Google's baseline technical tests. Now, these issues are completely invisible to your human visitors, but they are blaringly obvious to search engines.
Basically, these hidden technical barriers act like a giant brick wall for search engines. We're talking about things like missing meta descriptions, broken heading structures, massive unoptimized images, and poor internal linking. If Google's crawlers can't understand what your site is about, there is absolutely no way they're going to show it to potential customers.
And finally, villain number 5, a lack of trust. It's simple. Poor design destroys credibility. Visitors make snap judgments in literal fractions of a second based entirely on how your site looks. If your digital storefront looks outdated or unprofessional, well, people are automatically going to assume your actual business operates the exact same way. Moving on to Section 2, the heroic rescue and the Elementor agency solution. We've identified the villains, right? So now it's time to bring in the specialized task force. Agencies like Viral Chili don't just guess. They use what we call the Elementor advantage. Elementor is purpose-built for high performance. It generates this clean, lightweight code that loads incredibly fast and integrates seamlessly with SEO heavyweights like Rank Math. And those core web vitals we talked about? Well, sites optimized by pros like Viral Chili typically see a 24% drop in abandonment during the loading process. It's a total game changer.
Let's look at Section 3, Agency versus Do-It-Yourself. Time for a quick ROI reality check.
Look, it's completely natural to hesitate at the upfront cost of hiring professionals. But DIY web design, actually, it's a bit like DIY dentistry. It usually ends up hurting a lot more and costing double to fix later on. Amateur sites often hide compounding technical debt. But when you partner with a top-tier Elementor agency like Viral Chili, that upfront investment gets you guaranteed functionality, rigorous QA testing across all devices, and most importantly, the peace of mind that your site actually works.
Now, what's really interesting here is the timeline. You might think untangling these messy villains would take months, right? But because expert agencies like Viral Chili know this platform inside and out, they move incredibly fast. Critical speed and mobile issues, those can often be fixed in just 1 week. Even complete redesigns and massive technical SEO overhauls typically only take about 2 to 4 weeks.
So how do you make sure you hire the right team? Please don't just pick the first result on Google. Use a solid vetting checklist. First, ask for past client references. Second, audit their portfolio. And I mean really audit it. Don't just look at the pretty pictures. Actually test those sites for speed. Finally, interview them about their QA testing. A premier agency like Viral Chili is going to spend time really understanding your specific business goals before they ever write a single line of code. I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. If your website isn't delivering results, isn't it time to talk to an agency? Stop letting invisible errors silently lose you money. Empower your brand, stop the leaks, and reach out to an expert Elementor team like Viral Chili so you can finally get the website performance your business actually deserves. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I'll catch you next time.